There is a phrase that gets used a lot in modern workplaces: resistant to change. It sounds neutral, but it does not always feel that way when you're on the receiving end of it, especially when you are older. Because once you reach a certain age in the workplace, you become very aware that any hesitation, question, tiredness, uncertainty might be interpreted through the lens of your age. Maybe she is resistant to change. Maybe she is stuck in her old ways of doing things. Maybe she's not adaptable enough. And that's the part that I find difficult, because I'm not resistant to change. I'm just tired of constantly proving that I'm not. My workplace has been through a period of enormous organisational change and restructuring. New systems, protocols, reporting lines, expectations. And like many workplaces going through major change, it's been challenging for everyone. Change on paper can look clean, but in the workplace, when humans are involved, it's much messier than that. It brings uncertainty, stress, confusion, loss, even when the change may be necessary. During the lead up to some of these changes, I was leading a team. I was very conscious of the emotional temperature around me. People were anxious and tired, trying to understand what the changes would mean for them, for their roles, their workloads, and for their sense of belonging. Because I was leading others, I felt a responsibility. I did not want to walk into the room carrying my own anxiety so visibly that it made other people feel worse. So I tried to be supportive, steady, practical, positive. I listened, reassured, explained what I could explain. I tried to hold space for others. Holding space for other people's stress often means putting your own stress somewhere else, not because you're dishonest, not because you're pretending to be someone you're not, but because leadership, even at the middle level where I am, often asks you to manage your own emotional reactions privately so that other people can feel supported publicly. It is hard to be authentic and careful at the same time. Now, after all of that change, I've been placed in a new role, with a manager I did not choose, with people around me I did not choose, in a structure I did not help design. That is the reality for many people after restructure. You do not necessarily get to choose the shape of your next working life. That does not mean it's all bad. It does not mean the people are bad. It does not mean there are no opportunities, but it does mean there is adjustment. An adjustment takes energy, emotional energy, mental energy, social energy. And at 60, I notice that energy consumption more than I used to. I'm still doing the work, still showing up, still trying to be professional, still trying to be constructive. But inside, I'm also doing my own work to adapt. Only my close inner circle really knows that. In the workplace, I still feel a responsibility to appear supportive, positive, flexible, as though I am moving with change, not being dragged by it. Perhaps I have imposed this standard on myself. Perhaps no one is watching me as closely as I imagine. But as one of the oldest people in my workplace, and as someone who is not in a senior role, I feel I have to be careful. I have to be seen to support the direction of the organisation. I have to keep showing that I can adapt. I have to be positive enough to be considered safe, not too negative, not too questioning, not too visibly unsettled, not too tired. Because when you are older, you can feel as though there is less room for complexity. A younger person struggling with change might be seen as developing. A senior level person questioning change might be seen as strategic. But an older, middle level employee like me, if I were to struggle with change, there's a risk as being seen as difficult, outdated, inflexible, resistant. And that is the tightrope I walk. I want to be honest, but not unsafe. I want to be thoughtful, but not labelled negative. I want to ask questions, but not sound obstructive. I want to acknowledge that change is hard, but not be seen as someone who cannot cope with it. So I watch myself. I watch my tone. I watch my face in meetings, how often I speak, whether my questions sound like genuine questions or whether they could be interpreted as resistance. And that in itself is tiring. There's a difference between resisting change and being exhausted by change. There's a difference between asking questions and trying to block progress. There is a difference between needing time to adjust and refusing to adapt. I can accept change and still feel unsettled by it. I can support the organisation and still need to process what it has cost. I can learn a new system and still feel overwhelmed. That does not make me resistant. It makes me human. I'm not sure I'm approaching all of this the right way, but for now, this is the best I know how to do. I will keep learning the new systems. I will keep navigating the new structure. I will keep trying to be supportive without completely silencing myself, because I am still here, still employed, still adjusting, still trying to be useful, still trying to be seen as current, still trying not to become a stereotype. I'm still logged in.